The Object 268 is a Russian Tier 10 Tech Tree tank destroyer, and at update 9.1 it went through quite a transformation. Normally it was sitting at 640 damage per shot, but now it has been changed to 670. That's a 30 alpha increase, and oh boy, the HE went up 40 damage per shot from 960, now sitting to an even 1000. I can tell you just from the few games I've already played in this vehicle, the HE feels absolutely insane. When it comes to the DPM, it was slightly nerfed, and the accuracy as well, you can tell, went from like 0.299 to 0.344. So the 268 gained alpha, lost a bit of DPM, and lost accuracy. Is the tank in a good spot right now, or a bad spot? Well, I actually think the tank's great. I've played a few games in the vehicle, and the HE feels absolutely fantastic, and the tank itself just seems to not care about that poor dispersion. Because the vehicle, and sorry about my consumables being a bit bugged, that should fix the problem right there, but because the vehicle has such a fantastic aiming time, to me, it doesn't really seem like the poor dispersion has really hurt the tank all too much. For example, today alone, I've been averaging 80% win rate in the vehicle, and 4,200 average damage, which is pretty good out of, I've only played 5 games in the vehicle today, but still that's pretty dang good damage. So the enemy team in this battle has a 60 TP, they got an FE2 and 5B, and a Type 71 for heavies, and, well, the Type 71 might have a lot of frontal armor. Unfortunately for him, 300 millimeters of pen is enough to butter straight through his upper plate, so with that, we're up to 707 damage in our first shot. Being able on average to roll 670 feels amazing. Like, the Object 268 version 4 was most likely balanced in accordance to update 9.1, and now that we've got vehicles like the 268 and vehicles like the E3 with very similar alpha to the 690 the V4 carries, these tanks just seem a lot more fun to me, especially because as well, the 268 gained 8 degrees of traverse speed, making this one of the most insane vehicles on turning. So here we go, easy shot into the 60 TP, and with that we're up to 1,816 damage dealt. Pretty sweet. Okay, well, I'm just gonna chill here. The enemy team is not in the best of situations, but we're gonna make sure that hurts even more. There's the waffle poking, and oh, 1,035, bringing a full health tank destroyer down to a one-shot for basically everybody on our team. Well, they got a 2 and 5B, and also the 60 TP left over here, but apart from that, I mean, they're basically done for. So I'm gonna poke this enemy 60 TP, aiming it on the lower plates. There you go, nice shot for 603, and now we're over 3,400 damage dealt. I obviously out-reload the 60 TP as I have more DPM, so we're just going to push the guy and see if we can get another nice shell in. We're sitting at 901 hit points, and oh boy, another low roll in. Yeah, that 60 rolls 724 on us. He rolls almost a max. We roll quite close to a min. So they have an M48 patent left, who I was really hoping we could get a shell into if he were to poke this bush. So I take a bit of a blind fire, but doesn't seem like it hits him. And all that's left apart from the M48 patent is an E50 and a Bosch Chatillon 25 ton. Well, the E50 is sitting right in front of our view, and we're going to load a heat shell. And, well, yeah, that's why I run Cali right there. The ability to butter through an E50 even when it's slightly angled upwards. 4,600 damage dealt, and there's only one tank I still care about. That is the Bosch Chatillon. So I'm going to speed along and make my way towards where I think the bat chat would be, which is the corner of our map, because there's nowhere else he could be. We've got a tank in our spawn corner, and Space spotted the other corner, who's my platoon mate, so yeah, the bat chat only had one other spot to be, and as you can see, we predicted perfectly. So I'm just gonna make my way full speed ahead towards the bat chat. The dude's got 1,190 hit points, and you know I want to get a big old chunk of that. Space is maybe going to get a shell in, though, before... Oh, he doesn't. Pen the HE. Yes! This is what I'm talking about. Okay. Well, I'm going to get it out. Space is trying to block me, but that's not going to stop me. Haha! 1,052 damage, and with that connection, we have dealt 5,700 damage in the Object 268. As you can see, the gun works fine, because it's got so much pen and so much aiming time that you just instantly snap a shell on your opponents and seems like they fly true. So a fantastic first battle for this vehicle, showcasing why it is just such an amazing tank. So let's get on to our second game, which is in Himmelsdorf here, and I actually have a third game I'm going to showcase. It's very rare for me to do a 3 helping of gameplay, but honestly the third game was also really fun for me to play in for the 268, so why not? The enemy team in this game has a 60 TP, a Super Conqueror, and the Kampfpanzer 70 when it comes to heavies. Medium-wise, they got a Sheridan and a Progetto 65, but they got a very scary 4005 as well. And I'll definitely tell you this, that 4005 could have won their team the game if he was running Spallliner. So what we're going to do is we're going to spot base B in the beginning of the battle, but looks like nobody's crossing, so I'm going to give it a couple more seconds, and yeah, I'm going to start getting out of here. None of our team has decided to go towards base B, which means that, oh boy, I'm not super excited. Base B and base A are very important parts on Himmelsdorf, and if your team doesn't do anything about it, it's a very high possibility you're going to be flanked and die fairly quickly. There you go, the enemy's capturing base A, and we've also got a bounce from that Progetto. But we also get an incredibly high roll of 838, showcasing that increased alpha being amazing. You could only have previously rolled upwards of 800 with a 150, so 838 is possibly a max roll. We got a Progetto pulling in front, and I really wanted that HE to hit that green spot of penetration, but unfortunately it didn't. And we also lose a lot of health right there, already down to half of our total hit points, and thankfully we do get a bit of a bounce there from the 268's Troll side armor, and oh boy, nice pen into that Progetto as well. 2 shots, and man, the enemy team is hurting quite a bit. Well, actually, we've got 3 shots because we also fired that HE at the Progetto. And with that, we're up to 1,974 damage dealt. So we've got the 50 TP trying to push off to the side. Hopefully, he's going to get a nice shell into the Progetto, which he did. But the problem I'm also a little worried about is the Sheridan. 2 connections from that Sheridan, and I'm a dead player. And I was really worried that the Sheridan was going to come behind, and yes, he did. But I also need to deal with vehicles like the 60 TP, but oh no! 670 average damage, and we low roll him by an insane amount, even though we should have killed him. And yeah, that kind of sucks. Thankfully, our 263 was able to finish off that Super Conqueror, so I saved the 263, but now I realize I can't deal with a Sheridan and a 4005. That is not fun. And what? Okay. Well, that's where the poor dispersion does cause a bit of a nuisance. Yeah, that shell should have hit that Sheridan, and unfortunately it didn't. But yeah, I'm not in the most fun situations here. Thankfully, I do have an IS-4, but a connecting clip from that 4005 does enough damage to clear that IS-4, and then still have another shell for me, and if he connects that shell, Sheridan can kill me. So I'm really cautious. 4005 fires, and with that, he's turning around. Oh yes! We get an HE into his vehicle for 1,162. That increased HE alpha is making me so happy, and with that, we're up to 3,728 damage dealt. The IS-4 is going to push off to the side, and nice, IS-4 gets penetration, and with that, we've got a Sheridan and a Kampfpanzer 70 in the rest of this game. Okay, well, the Sheridan's over there, and the KPZ, oh boy, this game is still quite close. If that Sheridan connects a shell on space, he's going to die, so I need to get my way right into the front line. We're going to get an HE hopefully in, fire at the turret, yes, 1,025. With that, we are up to 5,700 damage dealt. Well, not 5,000, 4,700, sorry, misread that a teeny bit, but we are going to deal 5,000 this game, so I guess I should have just waited one little moment as we're going to get a connecting shell into the Kampfpanzer for 669. So again, another fantastic battle showcasing the HE just coming out with massive numbers. I mean, it's pretty insane to get 3 HEs dealing 1,000 damage in a single game. It really feels quite monstrous, and that's what I've been enjoying about the 268, is just the fact that you can slap people for big ol' alpha numbers, and with the increased traverse speed getting the cover at the same time. So there you go, another 5k win, but we're not done. I just need to find the final game, which we played on Faust. Now this was another fantastic battle to showcase the 268 just not caring. The enemy team has an AMX 50B, they've got T100 LTs as well, which is kind of scary, and they've got a double platoon of Type 71s, which is definitely one of the most fearsome tanks you can come up against on the battlefield, but 268 is here for the rescue. We're going to push up and overlook base A, and my favorite bush when it comes to tank destroyers, honestly, if I'm on the enemy team, and you see me, I'm probably going to be sitting in this bush if I'm using a tank destroyer. But, I mean, it is probably the best spot to do what you're going to see me do in this game. So here we go. Plopping right into the bush. We got a Type 71 pushing off to the side. And we also got a T100 LT. Well, I need to figure out what I want to do. Because that looks like death right there. That looks like absolute death. I was like, hey, Space, did you see that? And he was like, yep, and got the heck out of there immediately. And so did our Sheridan. Honestly, I can't blame them. That is pure death. But you know what? We're going to get a nice HE for 1,045 into the AMX 50B for our first shell. Yeah, the dispersion might be nerfed, but it's still flying true. A full health 50B is now down to a one-shot for us, and oh boy. Yep, we're gonna do it again. Boop! 856. Unfortunately, it low rolls a bit by about 150, but I can't really complain. 2 shells fired, and we have dealt 1,900 damage. I mean, we're on average for those 2 shots rolling the same as an FE2 and 5B 183 would. We got the 200 LT there, and ooh, come on 50B, poke it, boop, there you go. AMX 50B is cleared, and previously, it's possible we could have low rolled that shot, but well, with 670 alpha, it's almost impossible to low roll a vehicle like that enemy 50B. Now we got a Foch, and I mean, the Foch is a pretty easy penetration, but what if he does this? Oh, 1250 max roll, 3 HEs dealing over 3,000 in total just from the HEs alone. I mean, what the heck? This vehicle is insane. So there's a Type 71. With heat, we would have buttered through his frontal armor, but again, while the dispersion may be nerfed, that is one of the situations where it can hurt. Now, I know that these tanks are not going to let me get off easy, so I'm just going to leave, and there you go. Now I don't need to worry about the Type 71s anymore. The 183 is obviously much slower than me, so I'm going to pretend like I'm driving towards my team, turn around, and start heading towards the FE2 and 5B 183. The 183 is an incredibly fearsome opponent, but honestly, I could care less. Even if he heshes me, I just want to shoot him. So there you go. One shot. He seemed kind of oblivious to me being there, even with that. So we got 1 shell in. We're up to 4,324 damage dealt, and we're going to fire another shell here in just a moment. Ooh, come on, and fire. Nice. Okay, that's 722, breaking the 5,000 damage mark. And now we're going to back up. Now, we have broken the 183's mantlet, or his gun, so he can't really... Well, I guess he can. He was able to turn his tank with a dead gunner and still shoot us. So we did a pretty good job. We were still able to deal 5,000 damage in this game and obviously come out with a victory. All 3 of these games showcase the 268 just being amazing. And as I said, I only played 5 battles in the tank today, averaging 4,200. So almost every game I played in the vehicle was a pretty darn good one at that. The Object 268 is definitely a tank that you should try out if you haven't ground it. And if you have, I mean, it's just an amazing vehicle. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video, and if you'd like to see more like it, let me know. But if you enjoy the 268, let me know your feelings. If you hate it, also let me know. Either way, I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.